Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
Just when you thought 2020 couldn't get any more bizarre,
My gosh!
the Pentagon declassifying 3 videos of what they're calling unexplained aerial phenomena.
So look at that thing. It's rotating.
Give an archaeologist a darkened cave covered with foliage far off the beaten path. Inject an air of mystery, such as strange markings on its ancient walls. And with a few more odds and ends thrown in to incite the imagination, you created a conversation piece for decades to come. During the late spring of 1938, in a remote range of mountains just where the border separates China from Tibet, such a cave with a series of bizarre twisting and interlinking to smaller caves, which was found high in the isolated Bayankara Ula Mountains. Working silently, the group of scientists moved deliberately through a maze of tunnels, their flashlight beams playing on the rough stone walls. Etched into the rock were crude sketches of the heavens and the sun and the moon, and surrounding these orbs, a mass of stars and the Earth. Using sophisticated chemical analysis, the scientists dated the drawings. They were made, it was determined, more than 12,000 years ago. Suddenly, one of the group called excitedly to the others. As they each gathered quickly at a far corner of the cave, their flashlights shining as a single beacon of light on the earthen floor. There was a row of neatly aligned graves placed side by side. When unearthed, the graves were found to contain skeletons of what had been a strangely shaped species. At first, what remained of the entombed bones had been thought of to be animals of some kind, possibly apes, but upon closer scientific scrutiny, it was revealed that in life, the remains had spindly, elongated bodies and very large heads. Carefully studying the grisly find, the scientists found yet another puzzle to contend with. Half buried in the dust on the floor, as though it had been lying there untouched for ages, was a disc. This disc was made of stone and somewhat resembled a record, complete with finely chiseled grooves and a hole in the middle. Around the grooves were spiraling lines of strange, finely written characters which completely perplexed even those brilliant minds assembled. The stone disc, along with the other important data found in the cave, so far away from civilization, was removed and taken to Peking, where it was filed away. During the many months that followed, countless scientific teams from archaeologists and geologists to paleontologists and anthropologists visited there and stayed a while and made their notes and finally shook their heads in frustration and left, unable to decipher the message on the disc or come up with a reasonable explanation of who left it and why. The stone disc and its elusive message remained in China at the Peking Academy of Prehistory for 20 years. And then on a hot rainy afternoon in 1963, Professor T. Sum Noe broke the code. But the scientific community forbade him to publish the message, which was revealed to him. It wasn't until 2 years later in 1965 that the prominent scientist was given permission to let the world in on his astounding message. The cave was visited again, this time by a host of scientists who enthusiastically combed through its labyrinths. They uncovered more than 716 in all of grooved discs. The messages apparently revealed how a spaceship traveled through the stars. Its initial mission to probe the vast horizons of space, only to develop engine trouble and come falling to Earth, high in the Bayankara Ula Mountains. It also told how the alien occupants of this interstellar craft, although their intentions were peaceful, were hunted down and killed one by Tibetan tribesmen. The Dropas tribe, as they were called, according to what Professor Nui and his colleagues had translated from the discs, came down from the clouds in their wingless birds. Our men, women and children hid in the caves 10 times before sunrise. When at last they understood the sign language of the Dropas, they realized that the newcomers had peaceful intentions. But it was already too late. Many of the alien beings were killed, and those that remained were told by members of the warrior Ham tribe that they were taken for uncivilized beasts because of their appearance. Since the discovery of the fantastic discs, now known as the Dropa stones, handfuls of scientists, including eminent ufologists, visited the remote Bayankara Ula mountain range. They spoke with the area's inhabitants, learning much of their heritage. Many of the scraps of information they uncovered fully corroborates the bizarre story recorded on the discs. Legends of small, gaunt, yellow-faced men who long ago came from the clouds in wingless flying machines tally precisely with the disk's information. The publication of Professor Tsun Unui's astonishing translation under the title The Grooved Script Concerning Spaceships, which has recorded on the disks landed on Earth 12,000 years ago, was sent for further study and detailed analysis to Moscow. It was published in the Russian magazine Sputnik. The discs, resembling phonographic records to a remarkable degree, were placed on a specially equipped turntable. To the astonishment of Soviet scientists, the discs vibrated or hummed, as though they formed part of an electrical circuit. As one Soviet scientist exclaimed, "I would estimate that a charge of electricity was passed through this disc, believe it or not, many centuries ago." Is there any connection between the discovery in the cave of the snow-covered mountain and UFO sightings in the area over the past dozen years? UFO investigator Dr. Timothy Ganges believes the answer to this is a resounding yes, although he declines to even venture a guess as to where these interstellar aircraft might be from. He does maintain wholeheartedly that an extraterrestrial space program to Earth began 12,000 years ago and has not ended. Having been among the scientists who visited Bhayankara Ula, Dr. Ganges is of the firm conviction that UFOs spotted over Tibet carry the same type of humanoid that crashed those many centuries ago. For one thing, he told this publication, the physical appearance of the ufonauts as described in Dr. Nui's discs correspond exactly with drawings made in close encounter cases, reported over the years from both Tizining, Inner Mongolia, located in the range of mountains known as the Altai, and Lhasa, Tibet's capital. Geographically, both of these areas are joined by the Bhayankara Ula, Tibet, a thinly populated region of high plateaus and massive mountains covering 470,000 square miles. On June 15, 1974, Kia Wahunan, a mountain guide, was inspecting the outer perimeter of a rock formation to make certain the area was safe for the next morning's climb. He earns his salary from the Tibetan government by giving pre-climbing instructions to would-be mountain climbers. No sooner had he stepped from the cave, approximately 200 feet up in the northern quarter of the peak known as Daja, when he spotted a silvery disc hovering behind a crest of rocks. It was windowless, he said, and shiny, silvery, spotless. There were to be no ridges or protrusions on the craft of any kind gathered about the strange UFO. It was approximately 4 feet off the ground. There were 3 humanoid figures outside the craft. They seemed to be gathering snow and ice particles as well as rocks and putting these things in their ship. Within about 5 minutes after the initial sighting, they climbed aboard by means of a ladder-like device that descended from the center of this thing. And when they were inside, the machine started to hum. It rose several more feet into the air and like a flash shot straight up and disappeared behind a variety of thick snow clouds. It was the last he saw of it. What makes Mr. Unan's experience quite unique is the fact that as an accomplished artist, he drew a likeness of the craft and its trio of occupants he saw in the snow-capped mountains. The drawing corresponded remarkably with the cadavers found in the cave at Bhayankara Ula 41 years ago. Spindly, elongated bodies, large with very big heads. This rather unattractive but accurate description has been recorded in several other close encounters also within the same area, as well as cases emanating from Sitka in southern Alaska, the Urals of south-central Siberia, and throughout Tibet, as well as in certain portions of China. A host of speculation from every corner of the globe posit that our planet was visited continuously by extraterrestrial life forms in the past and still is today. And it stands to reason that those who explore the vastness of the universe, whether they originate from our own planet or from elsewhere in the galaxy, have a singular common problem. That is the possibility of crashing on a remote and strange planet far from home, never being able to return to their own planet.